Hey everybody, and welcome to the December Momentum Session. Even though it's November, our two guests today were so excited to do their session they couldn't even wait for December. And so we have two incredible guests today. One of them from Detroit and the other one from North England. I just found out that they still call it England. Here in Canada, we just call it the UK. But we're going to have an amazing session today, so thank you guys all for tuning in. Make sure you watch. And as always, just a quick housekeeping thing. In the GYLS grads group, pinned to the top is the link where you very likely found this. You can comment there your questions and comments. If you want, you can comment in the event page, but the grads page is where we're going to be queuing up all the questions. We'll very likely save them all to the end. And if you have an anonymous question, you can obviously just send me a Facebook message. We have it here. And without further ado, I'll introduce our first speaker, the amazing, incredible team leader, Suzanne. So you're on.
Hey, thank you, Sergio. Thank you for organizing these calls. They really are incredible. I know that I've tuned into a number of them and really got great value from them. So that's what we're here to provide today. And before we get started, I just want to welcome and introduce onto the call. I'm sure you all know the wonderful, incredible Lucas, who was I meant to do that? Never mind. Who I've clicked on, who we love. So just a big welcome to Lucas.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. Oh dear.
So you're on, Lucas. Give us a quick intro, and then Suzanne, you can begin to fire up your PowerPoint.
All right. Hi all. Great to be here. I am so excited to share our stories and to connect with you, and hopefully we can make a difference, and sending lots of love before and after.
Awesome. And so I think while Suzanne is starting up the PowerPoint, just doing the screen share, Lucas, maybe you can kind of speak on the Team Incredibles behalf of why were you guys so excited to do this session that you couldn't even wait for December? Like, why did you guys want to do this session? What made you want to? Because it's not obviously mandatory. It's whoever wants to sign up to run one can. So why did you guys want to run a session?
Well, a lot of it is because of how incredible we are and how incredible our team was. They really inspired us to want to, share the love of the Incredibles. Also, Suzanne and I just, we were so giddy with excitement, and we were just, talking with one another, and we were like, hey, let's take initiative and be extra incredible and get it done before we even said we were gonna. Let's give them what they want before they asked for it.
That's awesome. So I think we may need to, on the fly, switch the plan, and Lucas, have you share the screen, because I don't know if Suzanne's is working. And I'll flip it over to Suzanne right now, so you're on, and maybe you can kind of answer on your own behalf. Okay, so here's the first question, actually, and Lucas, you can fire up your screen. What is it that makes you fly all the way from the north of England all the way to San Diego every single year? Like, what is it that gets you to go there?
Wow. Well, it's not even, to be honest, it's really funny being asked that question, because it's not even a question in my mind. It is absolutely something that I would not miss. And what gets me to go? I am even before I went, it was something that I knew about, and with other team leaders that I know, just the energy from them coming back from the event and being so inspired. And within the environment, obviously, actually, one of the reasons that we're going to go, we're doing this early is because I'm heading out to Florida for a date with Destiny on Saturday. So I won't be back until the middle of December then. And so we love to serve in that environment. We love the vibe of the environment, etc. But there is something extremely special about GYLS and the youth leaders who go there. Just the ability to take in the information, the spirit of the individuals, to really want to make the shifts and not hold on to any luggage or baggage that they have is just truly inspirational. And as you know, Sergio, it's just an amazing thing to be a part of. So it's not even really a question. It's just, you know, absolutely hands up as the invites come out. So, yeah.
Yeah, of course. No, it's GYLS is incredible. It's the best thing ever. And I think Lucas might have his screen ready. So let me flip it over. Can you put that in full screen, Lucas? Yes, you can. There we go. All right, we're on. So I guess, Suzanne, you can just ask him for the next slide as you go, and I will give you guys the floor.
Fabulous. Thank you. Thank you. So we are talking today about know who you are, be who you are. And this has definitely been something that has come up for me over the years. And really, when I have been looking for the answers to lots of questions, so many times the answer is knowing who I am and being who I am. And so we just wanted to share with you today. And, you know, when I spoke to Lucas about what we should do and, you know, talked about this as a title, he definitely grabbed onto a few things that he felt that he could share and that we felt we could add value with. The reason that we've got there, I've put the picture of the little baby, cute little laughing baby in the first slide, is look at that. Like, that is so cute and and laughing and chubby and gorgeous. And don't you just look at it and you can't help but just feel that joy of that little baby. And we all experienced that. We all experienced it definitely at one stage in our life. Now, certainly, and you'll hear my story as we go, but I definitely lost some of that freedom in different stages of my life because of being too concerned with how I felt I should be instead of just being, you know, like that little laughing chubby chubster, and being who I am. So, Lucas, if you could just do the next slide. What our outcome really is to encourage you to tap into your true identity, knowing who you are and being who you are. Don't settle for less than being yourself. It is just the best gift you can give to yourself and in honesty to the world. You know, really shining your light fully. So we're going to talk a little bit about our stories and then give you some calls to action to have you do that. So if we just click on I came into the Tony Robbins environment in my mid-30s. So compared to you guys, way late. And over the years, I realized that over the years that followed, I realized that a lot of the life that I had been living was about being how I thought others wanted me to be and being how I thought I should be. I took messages that what other people thought was more important than what I thought. And I don't believe that anyone ever said this to me. Sorry, that's my dog. The doorbell's just gone. That's typical, isn't it? I don't believe that anyone ever said that to me. It was just the message that I took when my mum straightened my shirt down, wiped my face and said, what will they think? What will they think? You know, was really a message to me over the years unconsciously that what they thought was really important. And that ended up being translated into a variety of things and situations through my life. So I thought, so I've put there, the greatest fear in the world is the opinion of others. The moment you're unafraid of the crowd, you're no longer a sheep. You become a lion, and a great roar arises from your heart, the roar of freedom. It is so freeing to just be who you are, not feel like you have to be anything for anybody else, just really to be able to relax into the spirit of you and be free. So the next slide, I think, is really showing a little bit about career, because obviously, you know, these are the next steps. And I thought that I needed to go out and get some high-powered career. And again, no one told me this, but it's just the message that I took when people I admired so much, when people I admired talked about how they admired the other people who were doing well in their professions, and those professions seem to be quite high powered, whatever that may mean. So all of these things, sometimes, you know, it wasn't necessarily that people said them, doesn't necessarily make any sense, because what one thing is to somebody, it might not be to somebody else. And I think that's a big point of it too, is that if we start taking messages from other people, they may not be meant in the context that we're taking them, and everything can get very confused in terms of what that then means to us. So I really ended up being, as the next slide will show, I really ended up not knowing who I was, because over the years, this message that what other people thought, or how I should be, or, you know, how you should be in society, really took over my unconscious, I think. And so I was all the time looking for how I should be. And then at some stage, you really forget who you are, or certainly I did. And it's interesting when I look back now, because all of my school years, pretty much, any free time I had, I would spend with horses. I'd spend in nature, I'd spend outside. But with all of these messages, it didn't even come into my mind to look for a career with horses. I mean, how fantastic could that be? You know, they say, do what you love and never work a day in your life. And I do often think if I had pursued my passion, my love, where would that have been? Now, at the same time, I am not saying that it was that my journey has not been a great one. It really has. And actually, I have got masses of value from all of the things that I have done. They've brought me to where I am today, which is in a situation with huge amounts of choice. So it's not always, maybe it wouldn't have been the thing to just go into a career with horses, for example. Maybe it would have been something to branch off and do other things. But the great thing would have been that it came from a thought process that was me being who I am and making decisions for myself, knowing the sort of direction I wanted to go in, rather than going along a path that actually there was no passion for, excitement for, but it was just because I thought that that's what I should do. So really, having gone down this path that wasn't, didn't resonate with me really, I really found that, I was pretty lost and pretty unhappy by chasing my impression of how I thought I should be. However, I have a great belief, which the next slide will show, that our soul knows who we are. And I believe our soul guides us, even against the odds. Our soul knows how special we are. And also, it's so proud of who we are, because we're our own individual. We were born individually, and our soul, I believe, is so proud of that. And I don't think it lets us become what we are not, because that would not allow us to fulfill our purpose. And therefore, I think that shows up in maybe being sad or unhappy, because honestly, if we're being true to who we are, I don't think that has us be sad or unhappy for any period of time. Yes, we may have moments, but not ongoing. So, in that sense, our soul is really letting us know. These are just indications of whether we've maybe gone down a route that isn't true to us. So no matter what, my soul has not allowed me to settle for being anything other than who I am. And definitely for that, I am so grateful. May not have always been easy to make the different decisions at the different stages, because there's some perception that once you get on a career path, that's where you should stay. And so moving away from that, taking some risks, taking some chances, has definitely not always been easy. But it has had me become more and more joyous and playful and happy and enjoying a life full of fun, to be honest. So the next couple of slides, I'm just really talking about how it showed up, that I was trying to be someone other than the core of my soul. So this was how I looked. I know. I mean, quite different, huh? That's how I looked when I felt lost and I was trying to be someone other than who I am. But how it showed up was the next slides show, you know, and again, when I look at this, no, sorry, I'm behind on the slides. I need to move another one forward. But how it showed up was really in strange ways when I look back, well, not strange ways, but interesting ways, I would say. So for us girls, you know, if you look at there, going out shopping with the girls is generally a fun thing. You know, we mosey on round, we pick up clothes, we put them down, we share our opinions, we go for coffee, all of those sorts of things. Well, for me, actually, at that time, it was stressful. It was a stressful experience because I was so in my head thinking about what other people thought of me, or wanting to make sure people liked me. And actually, what I thought would have people like me was me being like them, or me having the same opinions as them. When even as I'm talking about it now, I feel exhausted thinking about it. I mean, how on earth can you ever know what somebody thinks? How on earth can you ever know what their opinion is in any one moment? So trying to second guess at any time is just exhausting. And then outside of that, of course, we don't just like people whose opinions are the same as ours. Of course, we don't want people to be just the same as us. Yes, some things in common are nice, but of course, isn't it the variety, the character of the different people, the differences that actually intrigue us or have us be interested? And we know that from the fabulous environment of GYLS, there are so many different people from different environments. And isn't it so amazing to meet and hear the different cultures, hear the different values, hear, the different interests people have? Of course that is. And isn't it the energy of the person that we pick up on that draws us in, that attracts us to each other more than anything else? So actually shopping with friends was really hard work for me and not that enjoyable, because I would maybe like something. Now, I honestly think at stages that I was looking so much for how I thought I should be, that I'd actually lost the connection with myself enough to feel like I didn't really know what my opinion was. So then, going about the normal things that we do of picking stuff off hangers and, showing it or having a conversation about it, my friends would do that, and I don't know, I might, agree with them or not, probably whatever they said I'd agree with. And therefore me picking something up and expressing an opinion, I just very rarely did it. God, how interesting is that? Now, I bet they wish that it was the same, because I have an opinion on everything, of course. So it is really amazing when I look back and think about it. And I really hope that I am the only person that has ever gone through this, because it is just such a shame to lose that time, to lose those years of trying to be something that isn't true to you. Also, I went from job to job because it wasn't my purpose. You know, I was in the workplace doing what I felt like I should do as a career, and not loving it, not inspired by it. And therefore, it caused me to look for the next thing or for the next option, you know, every so often. So I was going from job to job and place to place, you know, sort of searching for what would make me happy, for what would make me feel good, what would make me feel great. I was searching in the wrong place. I was searching outside of myself. I was searching for things to have me feel better, to what was I going to do? Find this one job somewhere that then I went suddenly, oh, you know, this fills all the gaps. No, of course not. It has to come from our connection with ourselves. It has to come from us being true to who we are and asking the questions of ourselves. What is it? What is it for me? So I spent that time. Also, I can remember I actually moved to where I live now, to Newcastle, which is where a lot of my friends, really great friends, and I have to say, one of the things that I am so lucky with in my life is I have friends for 30, I can't even believe I'm saying that. I was very young when they became my friends, obviously. But I have friends for over 30 years who are some of my best friends in life. They are fabulous people and fabulous friends. And I sometimes wonder, how did I manage that? How did I manage to keep their friendship when I really didn't know who I was a lot of the time? So I'm very, very thankful that, and moved up to Newcastle, which is where a lot of them live. And I got a job which I enjoyed in human resources, in hotels, and I bought my first flat. And I can remember at that time thinking, is this it? So is this it then? Is this my life? Is this how it's going to be for the next however many years? And that was around the time that I got introduced to the Robbins environment. And obviously for that, I am truly grateful, because it opened my eyes, my options, my heart to so many different pieces. So with all of these examples and me talking about my experience, it's really to just, if anybody is, you know, at a stage whereby they recognize the signs that they may be feeling that other people are better than them, or other people are, or there's a way that they should be, is to really look to catch that, you know, catch it early. Obviously, anybody we're speaking to has been in the Robbins environment, and with Anand and his geek, you know, be the geek. Kathy with her stories. There's so much encouragement to really just be who you are, however that shows up for you, be who you are. And through this, that's what we're really emphasizing, because it's such a big point. I think that there's nothing more important than being true to you. And I'm sure Lucas, well, I know, because we've been talking, I know Lucas agrees with that. And he, you know, at a very different stage in life than me, has some things to share that, again, will ring true, I'm sure. So I'm going to hand over to Lucas.
Hi, y'all. How are you? Well, I mean, I can't hear you, but I hope you all are doing well. So one thing that Suzanne mentioned that I really resonated with is like taking others' like thoughts and opinions and like really transcribing them into your own. So like growing up, you see all these like different images, and you like kind of like put together what you see as like social norms and whatnot, and like seeing like what's determined as like quote unquote normal, or like what's right and what's wrong, I guess you could say. And so like growing up, like I always saw like, you know, a man and a woman being together, and like them having like their family and whatnot, and everything like that. Oh, I think I'm like repeating. That's weird. Sorry. Um, so I took that as like kind of a thing, like that's what you have to be, that's what you have to grow up to do. And then I don't know when I realized it, but I realized that's really not meant for me, um, as I am gay. So that was a when I first realized it, it was a little bit different. I didn't really quite understand what it meant. I just had heard like people saying like, "Oh, that's gay," like even at a young age, like you get to hear that kind of language and like derogatory terms and whatnot, and it's really like a damper on the soul, because like especially if that's what, like if that's who you are, it's like really like, oh, that's probably not a good thing then. Um, the first person I had said anything to was my brother, and he was like, "Oh, okay." He was like really accepting about it, and really like it's not that he didn't care, but he didn't care that if I was gay or not. He still loved me because my brother and I are really close. And but with others, I didn't really feel like I could do that. So for uh, the longest time, the next time I like ever told anyone, I'd say was in eighth grade, and I had realized it in like fourth grade. So that was about 4 years. I had like kept that secret with just my brother and I, and it always made me feel really anxious. Like just like, could someone ever find out? Like, could someone like talk to my brother and like see that like, you know, I'm not like everyone else, and like there's something wrong with me. And so like I would tell like friends here and there, just like trying to like play catch up with like who, like remembering who I told and who I didn't, and who I could talk to about certain things. And so like sophomore year, which is 11th, no, 10th grade, like I started getting more comfortable with it and telling a couple other people too, like my close friends again. And then that was the following like summer after my sophomore year was my alumni year, and I felt really comfortable with just like being gay, and like the environment at the Tony Robbins event at GYLS really made me feel like good about it. And I didn't feel like it was like something that is a problem, but it's something that like is me, and there's nothing wrong with being you. And so I went through the following school year, and like I didn't really like, I told like other friends, but like I didn't really deny it if anyone asked, I guess you could say. And then at the end of the school year, I came out to my like dad, which was a really big step for me, because my dad and I are the closest, besides like my brother and I. He's the person I look up to the most, I'd say, in my family, and who really I'm extremely close with. And I felt like I was lying to him and like not being myself with him, because there was this big part of me that I couldn't share with him. Afterwards, it was like it was an amazing experience, and yeah, I always look back to it when I need like a happy moment, I would say. It was a moment with a lot of just love and understanding. And then I had like came out to my other family members, which was, some of them weren't so like understanding about it, but they came to terms with it. But one person I still have yet to tell is my grandfather, who is very homophobic. But we're gonna work on that. But for now, I don't feel comfortable with it yet, so we're waiting for that one. But yeah, and then I also came out to my school environment after I came out to my family. And everyone was really understanding about it, and like there was only a couple people who cared, but they aren't people I associate with because they're spiteful people, and I like to surround myself with nice, loving people. And so like I had an amazing senior year. It was like the best year of high school. I had a lot of friends. I was super involved. I was the homecoming king of like for the dance, and like it was just honestly such a fun year, and so like it was amazing. And then so one thing I learned through that like those years is like you have to have a good support system, like people you can trust and people who you care about and that care about you. And really filling your life with these people is such an important thing, and being there for other people is such an important thing too. um a way that I look at it and a way that I like to share it is if you were the like head of your business, who would you have in charge of your business? Like who would be your like your executive team? It's kind of like the same thing. Like you're running your life. Who do you want to have around you when you want to make big decisions and when you want help for things that are really big in your life? But yeah, so I learned a lot through these experiences, and that, you know, being yourself is the most important thing. And ever since I came out, I've just been a much happier person because I don't have to like worry about who knows, because I don't really care who knows, and I'm completely comfortable and happy with being me and being who I am. Yeah.
It's fantastic. And just a couple of questions, Lucas, in terms of your situation. So one is, do you, although I know that you are happy with the decision you've made in terms of telling your grandfather or not telling him just yet, do you find that you're in a different energy when you're around him? As in, it may just be unconsciously, but that when we are really free to be who we are as such, it's a free energy, isn't it? I think. And when even if we're being ourselves, but there's just something that we're holding back, do you think that there's a difference in energy there?
Yeah, I would say so. It's a little bit different in the sense that I feel like I can't be completely honest with him or like true with him, I guess you could say. It puts a little bit of damper on my energy. Like, you know, you all know me as like super upbeat, outgoing, but I'm a little bit less so, not a whole lot, but a little bit less. And I feel like I'm trying to suppress myself a little bit when I'm with him, just because I can't share with him everything, and like the rest of my family knows, and he's like the one who doesn't. So yeah.
And I think that that is sometimes true, or I think that that is generally true. If we are not, if there's something there where we're looking to be something for somebody else that's not fully who we are, there's something that shows up differently in terms of our energy or our light. And, it's just interesting. I'm guessing, maybe without being asked that question, it wouldn't have even have come to your mind,
No.
because you're still in a loving situation, and, you're you, and maybe some people wouldn't notice. But when you're asked the question, you just realize that there is something that's that little bit different in terms of fully, shining your light or being as playful or as joyful as you can be. And the other thing that I wanted to ask is, what advice would you have for somebody, who had that initial conversation that you had with your brother when you were realizing, and if you had that conversation and the person didn't respond in such a positive way, what would you have done?
And also, Lucas, really quick before you answer, if you guys are done the slides, if you want to stop sharing your screen, I'm not sure how many more slides you have, but that way we can see you. If there's still more slides, that's totally cool.
We are gonna. We can come off and then come back on again.
Yeah.
Turn it on and off.
Right. So yeah, we'll hop back onto the slides after. So that's a tough question. I'm so thankful for my brother for being such an amazing like support system, an amazing person, and honestly being so helpful and kind with that. I feel like it probably would have set me back a lot if he weren't that way. But my advice for someone who is don't really take it on the chin that much, because I feel like it's something that even though we are in a much larger accepting era currently, there's a lot of people that are still like they've learned a certain way growing up. They've been through a lot and they have different experiences. So maybe this isn't really one that they're accustomed to. And, you know, sometimes when you like go to someone and they don't respond well, you go to a different person. Like if you don't like just like with a doctor, you don't always just go to one, you usually go to two to make sure you have the right answer, you know?
Yeah. So it would definitely have been important to you to stay true and find, you know, and in terms of the support, find that support just to give you, you know, the additional energy. And yet, whichever way, could you have ever not have, you know, shown up as being true to who you are?
So you're asking me like if I hadn't come out, would I not be like who I am today? Is that?
No, well, I suppose, yeah, I'm being a bit confusing about it, but I guess I'm just, you know, if anybody's listening that is, you know, it rings true of their situation, just how important it is, even if you don't get the response initially, to just find that way to stick to, if you don't get the positive response initially, that you still you find that way to find a support group, a support system, to enable you to really be true to who you are.
Oh, okay. So for me, I always felt like a lot of like anxiety and like oppression, I would say, by not being out and like not having people to talk to about it, because like I like having all these like bad thoughts of like it's a taboo subject in my family, I would say, I guess. And just like having to go through it alone is so difficult, and just going through anything alone is really difficult, and that's why it's really important to have those people that care about you and that you care about to share these experiences with, because it's hard to go through anything alone, like whether it be like, you know, sometimes you need a study group for a tough exam, or you're going through someone you're close to passing away. You need people around you that are going to care about you and are going to lead you in the direction they think is best and help you get to where you think you need to be.
Yeah, that's great. Yes, it's great. And I think for me, you know, I talked about my friends and that I've had for so many years, and they saw me, you know, they saw me. And so I laugh and say how on earth they could put it, because I felt, you know, lost and, you know, whatever, not being myself at times, but they saw me. And so they have been, you know, they've been there, and they probably don't even know this that I'm telling you. But they have been there the whole time. So I guess, you know, in terms of what we're talking about, they've been a great support system for me, because they see me and love me. And I think that is such an important thing to find. So we've just got a few things just to continue. Let me see if I can share here and see if that happens. Is that happening? Yeah, so let me just do, I'm going inside. Yeah. Is that happening?
For some reason, it stopped screen sharing when you hit play from current.
Yeah,
I don't know if maybe Lucas, you want to try and do it again.
Okay.
Alrighty.
It's just, I mean, we could probably do it without the slides, but there's just.
Here we go. We're back. Lucas has got it.
Okay, great. So really, I talked about the Robbins environment, which we're all familiar with, and how me attending UPW, I didn't even know what I was going to. It was a friend of mine was meant to be going. He couldn't go. He called me up. He knew I was in London and said, do you want to go to this thing? I said, okay. I didn't know there was a fire walk on the Friday night, on the first night. I didn't know anything about it. So I went in with all these mad people jumping around and thought, what has he sent me to? And at the end of it, signed up for Mastery University because it was just something that resonated, that I knew that I needed. And in the Robbins environment, we talk so much about living in your head or living in your heart, and encouraging people to live in your heart and share from your heart, because that's where you'll touch and heal other people's souls as well as your own. And for me, that was so true. Attending the Robbins event, particularly Date with Destiny, which actually I'm flying out to on Saturday, as I said, was really started my journey in terms of coming home. And so I've put a few pictures up on the next slide, because coming home for me was really getting back to my heart, was remembering who I am. And I think it was at Date with Destiny that I wrote some goals for my poster, and definitely a few of my goals were living in the country and being with horses. That's what I did in my youth. And I realized that I hadn't been to the country, and I possibly hadn't seen a horse for years. I was living in the city of London working. Can you believe that? I cannot believe that when I think about it. So reconnecting with my heart, remembering what it is that I love, really brought me home. And so it's meant that I spent more time in the country. Very soon after, moved to the country, spent time with friends and horses, still do. Reconnected with a love of well-being, nutrition, started taking some other courses like massage. And actually after this call tonight, I'm going to go and do some massage for a friend of mine. Just started working in well-being and nutrition at that time. So I believe that we know who we are. What we love is part of who we are. And if we connect with who we are, we get clearer about what our mission is. And every mission is possible. It's the next slide, Lucas. So what's your story? What's your mission? Sometimes we need to go on a journey to understand the journey. We have to go on a journey to understand our journey so far. And through that, oftentimes we can help others through theirs. What do you love to do? And what can you do to reconnect with that? It may be through some volunteer work, or just taking the time out in free time to just reconnect with those things that you know that you love. And also connect with your vision. Your vision and your mission, it doesn't have to be huge. I think in years gone by, I felt like my mission had to be this great Martin Luther King sort of vision, or Gandhi sort of mission or vision. But what if it were only to be a joyful soul, a playful soul, a soul that was happy in their own skin, that attracted others to them, that touched the lives of others with their warm heart and their vibrancy? What if that was your mission? Because I think that that is a mission for all of us, and can be a vision for all of us. And from that place, we get to know more. So you definitely know in your heart who you are. Make sure you be who you are. And as the next slide says, I think that this is so important. Be joyful. Love you. It'll make sure you have a great day today. Know who you are and be about your purpose. Make it so important that it leaves an impact for generations to come. Just that vibrancy, that energy of positiveness, of happiness, of love. Share with others how to do the same, how to connect with their identity, their purpose, their legacy, and their leadership. It's a beautiful thing to do. And from my final side, one of the biggest things that I will say is just don't settle. Don't settle. Don't make it be hard, because actually the simplicity of connecting with ourselves, of just being with ourselves, being true to ourselves, of loving ourselves, seeing the greatness in ourselves is just so, so important outside of anything else, outside of giving back to anybody else, because from this space, we automatically give back. We give back with a great, joyful, beautiful energy in this world. And Sergio, you asked me initially, why GYLS? Because that's what I see in all of the souls at GYLS, is their beauty, their vibrancy, their joy, the fun, the laughter. And for me, it is the most important thing we can ever connect with in life and have for ourselves. So, Lucas, I know you're going to finish us off.
Yeah. That a lot with that too is like realizing your impact that's something I never realized, is that like everyone has like their own impact, and like you can't settle, because otherwise you won't be able to impact the world like you're supposed to. Oops, sorry. I just had a hiccup. And so a question that we ask ourselves is, what's your story? Like, if you're being true to yourself, if you're letting your light shine, and if you're giving permissions for others to do the same. And so you may have things going on, or you may be very happy in yourself, but you have to realize that, like, you know, you have to be true to yourself, and if you aren't, you're always going to get there eventually. But you know, you have to be able to let who you are shine, and you have to let others know who you are so they can be who they are too. So Suzanne, you wanted to talk about calls to action rather.
I thought you were going to, Lucas.
Oh, sorry. All right. So a couple of things that Suzanne and I talked about were 100 things you love to do. So writing on a list 100 things that you like to do, just like writing them down. You can write them a couple things like that are in the same thing, or you can just write like 100 different things, and then 100 things that you love about yourself. Now, when you say this, like, it's kind of like, what? Like 100 things I love about myself? Like, what am I supposed to write down on this paper? Like, there's only like 5-10 things I can think of off the top of my head. But once you start to get going, you'll really be able to just keep writing it. And I think we have a lot of disconnect in seeing like all the greatness in ourselves, and like all the love that we have for ourselves. And once you start to get going, you'll be able to just keep going. And if you run out of things, like, look at others and see what you love about them, because Suzanne was sharing with me, she said a great hearing that she said was you see in others what you see in yourself. So the things you see in others and that you love in others are probably in yourself. So write those down too, and just keep going, and try and go past 100. Like, write down 200 things even. If you're feeling like incredible. So another tool you can use to help find these 100 things is imagine yourself sitting in a rocking chair when you're 90 years old and looking back on your life and seeing what it was that happened in your life that made you smile. Like, write those down on your list too. Like, think of the things that have impacted your life. Think of the people who have impacted your life, and really just reflect on all the greatness that's happened in your life and all the greatness you've done so far. A couple more are these are really good tools, I think. Just simple breathing, like sitting there just breathing, like clear your mind, one kind of breathing exercise I do is you breathe in for 6, hold for 6, and exhale for 6, and it always calms me down. Or counting your breathing, so going up 1, down 2, up 2, down 2, all the way up to 9, and then doing it backwards down. Those are great exercises I've learned to just really like meditate with and calm down with. Suzanne, do you have one for regular breathing too? I know you had a couple.
Well, similar to yours, to be honest. There'll be different things that I do, but one of them may be just breathe in through my nose from my diaphragm to the count of 3 and breathe out 6, or 4 and 8. And the other one is just with your breathing, touch the tips of your fingers, and you do that 8 times. So you do 8 breaths as you touch the tips of your fingers, but pretty similar. So whichever ones.
Awesome. And then, so there's also heart breathing. So just putting your hand over your heart and breathing into your heart and feeling all the love and just feeling yourself being alive and there and present. We've done it at GYLS, and it's just a great thing to do when you're feeling a little bit down, and you can just feel the love, in your body and feeling the love for yourself. And then the last one is the Ho'oponopono, which is one of my favorites. I do this quite often whenever I need like a minute, like when you need a minute to take for yourself. I usually in my head, I'll just say it, and then at nighttime, I say it a lot before I go to bed. I'll say it like a couple times. So Suzanne and Sergio, would you like to do the Ho'oponopono with me?
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
I'll say it once, and then you guys can say it with me 2 times after, or so, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Let's
All
go.
right. So I'll start it off, and then you guys can follow, and then we'll all say it together. So, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
All right. Now, all of us together. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Please forgive me.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you.
I love you. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Please forgive me. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So that's the end of our slideshow.
That was awesome, guys. I love how you guys ended that. That's the best thing ever. And I'm not sure if you guys have heard the story, Suzanne, I'm sure you've heard it, but Tony was introduced to that when he found out that they do that in Hawaii to the prisoners. That's like the rehabilitation that they use. And I don't know if it's ancient, but it's an old Hawaiian tradition. And for the rehabilitation of the prisoners, instead of however else they would try and rehabilitate them, they would just get them to say that. And it was actually really, really successful, which is really interesting. So I like to think of it when you say that, imagine you're saying it to other people, like picture someone and say that, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. And then picture saying it to yourself. It can be really powerful with who you put the intention on that you're saying it. We have a couple of comments. I know Debbie Ann was on here earlier, not sure if she's still here, but she said, awesome session. And then so true, take little steps every day. So thank you, Suzanne, or not Suzanne, Debbie Ann. And then, yeah, so if you guys want to wrap us up with a final little thing, we'll be good to go.
Well, it's fantastic. And we actually said we thought it was going to take us about 30 minutes, 35 minutes, and it's taken as long as that. So, for those who've stayed with us, thank you so much. And for those who are listening to the recording, thank you. And I can say that definitely, Lucas just doing the Ho'oponopono at the end, in those few lines that we did, I could feel my energy shift. So, they're really worthwhile exercises doing. And of course, if anybody watches this afterwards and wants to ask any questions as they go, we'll love to connect with you and answer those questions. So thank you once again, Sergio, for putting these on. You're awesome. They're amazing. Thank you, Lucas, for being the shining superstar that you are. And thanks, everybody, and to GYLS, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
That was